Okay. Perfect. Let me exit out of those participants. Close. All righty. Okay. So there goes the husband ready to spin. Um, okay, we're going to talk about connections today. And I feel like I've probably said this before in random bits and pieces because basically the way that I connect is I have taken from other people. I have taken from power hours. I have listened to other coaches. And it's how I do my connections now. So I basically have 5 tips for IG and 5 tips for Facebook. And I feel like the reason the connections are so important, and I've been running into this lately, I feel like I have a lot of the same eyes on my stories or the same people liking my posts. And that is so great and well and good, but also it doesn't leave a lot of folks to invite that are truly watching, listening, and in my warm market. So that is the whole reason that we want to connect to pull people in. And I actually have spent the last week, if not more, week and a half, like solely connecting. I was listening to, I forget if it was the National Wake Up Call a couple weeks ago or if it was just another call training that someone was doing, but I started to feel like guilty when she was bringing up a couple things. She's like, "Do you let 2 or 3 months go, without messaging someone in between, but it's only invites? Like it's like you just invited them and then you wait a couple months, but then you only just invite them. There's no kind of like banter in between or just asking how they are or just like commenting on their stories, which would throw, like a comment in between or an emoji or something like that." And I was like, ah, I do that. So I really kind of did like a deep dive inside and was like, okay, I really just need to connect. I really just need to try to really create these like true friendships and connections because at the end of the day, I really am not trying and we are not trying as coaches to like just sell and push products onto people, but sometimes it feels that way if you're not noticing someone, you know, and that happens to me all the time. I'll look at my stories and I may not be super regular looking at my stories. So when that person does get a message, it may be 2 or 3 months, and that's fine. That's like a perfect timing in between inviting them. But if there's absolutely nothing in between those lines, then they're just seeing like kind of ick to put it, lightly. They're just gonna see kind of like icky, like all they want to do is for me to join them. Okay, so I'm gonna start with IG because I have been trying to build my business more on Instagram. So first, one of the big ways that you can connect is going to like an influencer account that's within your niche, but not like Beachbody. Like you don't want to go to someone that's already a top coach or someone that's already using like Beachbody hashtags or things like that. You want to try to find like a niche that's something of interest to you. Like something else that has to do with your character and interests. So hold on. I have all kinds of arrows and numbers and everything else. And I wrote this out for last week's call and then ended up not doing it. Oh yeah, this is gold here. So go to an influencer account, go to their most recent post. I tend to do this during the day. And I know that that may not be able to happen for everybody because of work and stuff, but like if I am scrolling and I see like one of my favorites is Betches and like the 30 AF and like accounts like that. I love them. I love like the funny accounts. So if I'm scrolling and I see like 7 minutes ago, they posted like a super hilarious reel that I completely relate to. And there's maybe like 250 comments already. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to scroll through those comments and see, you know, click on those accounts and see, sometimes they're mega influencers already. And sometimes they may just be like the girl next door that you could totally be friends with. So that is a huge way that you can make connections. And if you can't, maybe you can't do it right in the moment, save it, click the little banner in the bottom right corner, save it to a collection, or I could one day I will do like an Instagram school and show you how to do collections and everything, but save it and then go back to it later and go through. At that point, there'll probably be hundreds of thousands of comments on it, but it's okay. One way that you can kind of weed people out too, and know that someone is going to be on Instagram and using it for kind of what it's intended to be used for, is if you see the pink circle around their profile, then you know that they have active stories and they've been on their stories in the last 24 hours. So I like that because that also is a surefire way, like I said earlier, that you can get into their DMs, relate to their story, drop the heart eye emoji on their dog, or, something of that nature. But that's like an easy way to connect as well if you feel like you will be friends with them. All right. So influencer accounts was number one. And reacting to stories really is a quick way, even for people that you already follow. If you just like, sometimes the people that you interact with most are going to be those first stories that you see. So if you scroll a few times, like maybe 3 times, and scroll a few screens, then you're going to kind of see some new people that you follow, but maybe you don't engage with them all the time. And it's an easy way, like I said, in a quick way. Like if you just have 2 minutes at the drive-through at the bank, or waiting for Starbucks, or you have like a few minutes of time, that's like a quick way to make connections. They're not necessarily a brand new connection, but you're still reconnecting with someone that you've already hopefully connected with at one point. So funny accounts, I did already kind of mention that. So influencer / funny accounts, I do tend to go for the funny reels, like over influencers that have like 1 million followers already. Let's see. I tend to, when I do go to someone's page, just to kind of look, like let's say they are someone that just commented on a really funny reel, I tend to go to their page and I kind of just look it over, like what are they posting? Have they even posted in the last, 3-4 months? If it's someone that you're seeing posts from and it's like 2021 is still in their top 9, or like 2020 even, you're like, okay, well, they really don't use the platform a ton, at least to post for themselves. But what I'll do is like or comment on like a recent post, and then I save them into a collection. And I have a couple collections right now. One is called Need to Intro. So if I don't have time to intro right there, I just save them in that collection. And I generally do it before the end of the day. So I remember like, okay, like all these people related to that funny reel from earlier, and I'll mention it when I introduce myself to them. But I have a Need to Intro collection. And then after I introduce myself to them, I move them to waiting for follow back. So right now, I do start to follow them, but if they do not start to follow me back, and we've had even some like back and forth conversation, or maybe my message is in their like hidden trapped folder and they may never see it, or if they do and they start following me back in like 2 months, then that's great. I'll introduce myself again. But if it's kind of like crickets and I'm following them and they're not engaging back with me, then I just bless and release, and I just unfollow and then just take them out of that folder. Um, I'm really trying to work right now on like cleaning up my people that I follow, because for such a long time I didn't do that in collections. And I was just randomly following all these people and then not tracking any of that. And now they're in my feed and I'm like, who is this? But it's a great time to, when I do see them in my feed, either introduce myself and say, hey, I've actually been following you for like a little while and realized that I never introduced myself. They may take it as completely creepy, or they may just be like, oh, that's cool, and follow me back. So I went off on a huge tangent there, but also I tend to find people who have less than like around, I guess, 5,000 followers. I don't have that many followers. Like I have maybe 1,400 or so. So until I get to grow myself a little bit and kind of get to the next caliber there, I don't want to be following people and trying to like engage with people that are like already like mega influencers. Like they're probably not going to read like my DM. So I try to keep it near my following. And right now, kind of magic number for me is just like right around like 5,000. Also not a Beachbody coach, and I go back and forth between other network marketers or not. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, like it just is a day, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, everybody needs wellness, like holistic wellness and workouts, and not every, wellness or beauty company that's out there that's network marketing like has everything that we have. So they could always be interested in that. But some days I'm like, yeah, whatever, you can join me too. And some days I'm just like, no. And I've heard other coaches say the same things. Like sometimes they're just like, they don't follow other network marketers, and sometimes they do. So I've done it, and I've heard other coaches do the same thing. It's whatever you feel the most comfortable with. I'm like 50-50. So I already kind of talked about, and I already did say, connecting with those you already follow by like scrolling over, engaging for 5 minutes with stories of people that you don't already engage with all the time. Okay, this is one of my favorite little hacks too. So to find your least interacted with people, you go to following. So go to your profile, go to the people that you are following, and then right underneath there, it's going to have your 50 least interacted with accounts. That is a great way to either engage with them or unfollow them. A lot of times for me, this is like not weird, but random celebrities that like maybe I once followed, like the roll-offs, or like random, like I'm throwing that out there because honestly they're probably on my least interactive, because
My top one is Matthew Lillard, the actor
nice.
from Scooby-Doo. And I love him. I want to follow him, but we don't engage.
It's gonna be like those, like a lot of them is gonna be like actors or like influencer accounts, because you're not directly engaging with them. So I'm not saying like unfollow all of those accounts, because you may still want to reference them when you're doing connections. But I'm just looking here now. I haven't done this for a while. Like there's definitely people that I need to either introduce myself to or just unfollow them already. So that's another great way. Like if you are just feeling stumped with finding a post or finding an account, that's an easy way to just go into your own profile with people that you don't engage with often. And then hashtags. You can always just in the search bar type something in, and there's always that option of audio and then posts, and then hashtags is always one. So type in a hashtag that you use often and that you relate to, and then there is a way to just do most recent. So there'll be top posts as an option and most recent as an option. And top posts are obviously going to have like hundreds of thousands of likes already and could not also be new. So if you do most recent, it's going to bring up the most recent people that are most likely on social media like right now, and then you can engage with people that liked or used that hashtag recently. So that's another good one. Let's see. All right, Facebook. So I don't do as well on Facebook, but I have recently picked up some new tricks. So you can always go to like friends of friends. And I like to pick people that I know I have mutual friends with already. Like I'm just gonna ballpark it like 25-ish mutual friends, because that way at least I can see like, okay, are the people that we're mutual friends with like, okay, they all work in the hospital. So I can easily say like, oh, I worked at the hospital and I probably saw you around, or whatever. And also I feel like, because I feel like people get a little more judgy on Facebook if you're randomly friending them. But if you're just like, oh, I love to connect with people that are like-minded and I saw that we have some mutual friends, it doesn't sound like as creepy. But I have had more people on Facebook kind of like question like, do I know you? And I'm like, yeah, or or I'm like, actually no, but you look like a really fun person. So friends of friends. But I always, like I said, make sure that we have some mutual friends in common. I just threw that 25 out there as like a number I'm comfortable with. Like if we have two mutual friends and then I look and I'm like, well, I'm really not even friends with those people, it might get a little weird. Um, Also, the people you may know is perfect because it's like Facebook already kind of paired you up. So whether you actually know them or whether it's like that mutual friend thing, and it will show you right under there, like right under their name, it'll show the mutual friends that you have and a number. So oftentimes, like almost on a daily basis, I at least scroll through my people you may know because it comes right up on your feed. And even if I don't know them, but they just look like, I'm like, oh, they look nice. She looks like someone that I would be friends with. She looks like she might be around the same age as me. Oh, our mutual friends are all nurses at the hospital, so we probably have people that we know. Then I'll just add them. So on Facebook, they have to accept it. So then you can easily go to your most recent friends. I'm gonna make sure I get this right. You'll go to your own profile. You'll go to friends. You can click on see all friends, but then there's all and there's a recent tab. So if you go to your recent tab, it's gonna have like probably in the last, I'd say this is maybe week or so for me, people that I friended on Facebook. And okay, good. I try to go through there maybe once a week and just intro myself to people on Facebook too. So it looks like I am pretty caught up there. That's good. But that's another way to do that. Also connecting on Facebook. So Facebook is going to tell you every day friends that have birthdays. And if you don't connect with anyone else the entire rest of the year, one day a year you can connect with them and at least tell them happy birthday. Also, something I recently heard in a power hour call that was like magic. You can do collections on Facebook too, and I haven't done it yet. But this guy that leads one of the Wednesday night power hours, said that he wishes somebody like happy birthday. And then he puts them in some sort of a collection. And like 2 days later, he'll actually like message them and be like, hey, how was your birthday? And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like, that's like truly just like the nicest thing. And I was like, that also is just like so easy to do. So you can also very easily, on the birthdays, it comes up on like one screen basically. You can actually copy paste and just scroll right through all the birthdays. And I will absolutely do that. And if it's even if it's within the last few days or if I'm early, like people will remember if you are the first person to wish them happy birthday, or if it's like 2 days early and you're like, I hope you have a great birthday weekend. Like I saw it's in a couple days. They will remember that. Like that's going to stick out more than maybe the 89 timeline happy birthdays that they get like on their actual day. So Facebook birthdays, if you're not going to work Facebook at all, like at least just wish people happy birthday for like 2 minutes a day, because you really can copy paste and it's beautiful. Another place that you can connect is groups, but be very, very careful, because most all Facebook groups, and most and all, I know that's oxymoron, but Facebook groups have rules, and a lot of them are like no soliciting, selling, and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna give you an example of a group that I'm in, because I'm an Aldi freaking nerd. And I was in this Aldi group that now I don't even know how big it is. Hundreds of thousands, I think. But when it first started, there was like 2,000 of us. So I really got to know the people that were posting all the time in there. Like we are friends. Like we're friends on Facebook. We like chat like all the time. Like we're actually friends over Aldi. But now the group is like so big and we're all kind of lost in it. But I still have that like core group of people that I got to know because of an Aldi group. And now we're like actual Facebook friends. So what I will say about groups is like be active in them, because then you have the opportunity for people to have eyes on you and stuff. If people are asking questions in the groups, like it could be groups of the type of dogs you have, it could be plant groups, it could be any type of group that you actually have interest in. I'm also in one that's like we have an outdoor griddle, like a hibachi griddle, and I'm in one for griddle for recipes for that. So if people are like asking questions and you're one of the first people to hop on and answer them, then that may stick out to you too. And then it also like wouldn't be super weird if you friended them and also messaged them at the same time and were like, hey, like we're in the same Aldi group, or I really like that recipe you posted. Like, here's a recipe that I have too. And you give them like some free value. But that's really all I wanted to say is like, don't spam a bunch of people if there's a group that has already like 100,000 people. But if you can find kind of like a smaller group that is really unique to one of your niches, then by all means, be active in it. Have fun. Like, honestly, I love the Aldi group that I'm in. It's like perverted and funny and penis shapes everywhere. And now it's like there's too many Karens in it. And now it's like, but all the OG people are always posting like cucumbers because we were around for the original like perverted posts. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but it's true. There's too many Karens in the group now. Let's see. That's really it too. You can also search, which I just recently did this. I don't know why I never did it before, but in your search bar on Facebook, you can also just search a topic. You don't even have to use like the hashtag symbol, but you can search a topic, and anyone that has posted about that topic or used it as a hashtag like will come up. And I believe I don't know if it's most recent or most liked, but I do know that it will populate like basically a feed for you with that topic. So I recently did that, and I actually connected with a few people as well. So slowly kind of moving back over and equally working Facebook the way that I work Instagram, but I just feel like Instagram is just so welcoming, more welcoming, I think, than Facebook a lot of times. So, but I wanted to be equal in my tips. So I tried to do 5 and 5, but that is really all that I have. So hopefully that was like a lot of tangible tips that you can use, whether you're like in a pinch or whether you have all the time in the world and can sit down and go through 250 comments. Oh, I will say, don't do that. I used to stress about connections the most because I felt like if there was 250 comments, I had to go through every single comment, because that 250th comment might be the person for me. And now I've really just like cut it off and I've been like, okay, I'm going to add 5 people right now, or I'm going to add 10 people to my need to intro collection. And I'm just going to cut it off at a number, and that's okay. I used to stress, and I used to stress to my mentor all the time, and she'd be like, just do 10. And I'm like, but I can't do 10. I have to like find everybody. And there'll always be people. So don't stress about it. If you only have 10 minutes or, 5 minutes, just find 5 people or 10 people or however many, because there's always going to be someone the next day to find on the internet. So that is that. That was my last tip. And sorry, because I was really long-winded today. Well, not really. We started late. Do you have
That
any
was great.
specific questions before I stop recording?
No, that I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I do participate in groups still. It's like I don't do any of the personal stuff, but I'm still in a couple of groups.
Yeah.
The stuff about groups was really really helpful because
Hmm.
I can definitely think of some groups that I'm in that are fit that criteria. I'll have to try the
Perfect.
tactics. Thanks.
No problem.